Okay, choose the correct null and alternative. Claim the mean IQ scores of stats professor is greater than 117. So this one has to be the alternative because it's greater than, and the null would be equals to 117. Equals and greater than, yeah. Test statistics, since we are testing the means, so T stats. Stats, T stats, one sample summary. Sample mean is 118. Standard deviation is 14. Size is 18. And equals to 117 and greater than 117. 0.303. Critical value is done through calculator, and we're in a T situation, so we T calculator. Okay, so T calculator, and it's a right tail. So the alpha, where's alpha? I don't see. Oh, okay, alpha is 0.05. So you would put the area of 0.05 in the right tail, and n is 18, so df will be 17. So T calculated, stats calculator T, so df will be 17, and n right, change this to right, 0.05, 1.74. And let's make a note of the p-value. So p-value was 0.3828. That's bigger than the alpha, which is 0.05. So fail to reject the null. So fail to reject the null, then you don't support the alternative, then you just go by the null. Fail to reject the null and do not support the alternative, right? When you fail to reject the null, you're kind of supporting the null. Okay, so for the first time we have with data in this section. So, and you are test the claim that the bats come from a population having a mean weight equals to 1.8. So you are testing whether the mean weight equals 1.8. So now they don't say anything about whether you are testing less than or more than 1.8. So then by default, it's not equal to 1.8. So you would do open in StatCrunch, stats, T-stats, one sample with data, and equals to 1.8 and not equals to 1.8. Also make a note of the p-value. So test statistic is negative 1.82 and the p-value is 0.0896. So negative 1.82 and 0.0896. Well, okay, A and D have the correct test statistic, and 0.0896 was the p-value that's bigger than 0.05, so you do not reject the null. So when you do not reject the null, then the test statistic is lying between the critical values. The other one, okay, that one was not even saying the correct conclusion, it was saying reject the null. But we know it's do not reject because the p-value was 0.08, that's bigger than 0.05. So, okay. Use p-value approach to conduct the hypothesis test to judge whether the mean temperature is less than 98.6. So mean is what we are testing, mu. Null always has equals, and we are testing whether it's less than 98.6. Test statistic. So StatCrunch. Means you use t-stats for test statistic. It's back to summary. And so sample mean, okay, we should look for the word sample. So they measured the temperature of 44 healthy adults, obtaining 200 measurements. The sample data resulted in a sample mean of 98.3. So 98.3. Sample standard deviation was 1. And sample size will be 200 because it's a number of measurements we're interested in. It doesn't matter how many people they come from. So 200 measurements. Why did this change? Okay, 1. Okay, and we are testing equals to 98.6 and less than 98.6. So the test statistic is negative 0.424. Remember, look at the p-value, 0.0001. Negative 4.243. So negative 4.24. And p was 0.0001. Oh, so 0.0001 means that, okay, actually it was less than 0.0001. So if you round this to 3 decimal places, it'd be 0.000. So actually it's 0 to 3 decimal places. And 0 is less than any alpha in the world. Alpha is 0.01, so you reject the null since the p-value is less than alpha. Alpha is the significance level. And that ends the section.